Hey guys, well I know it's not Easter yet. There's a thing here. You see, this Easter I'm gonna have a whole family home with it. I'm gonna have a whole family over and we're all gonna be doing stuff. So if I had to make a video the exact day of Easter, that'd be a problem because I have a family to take care of. It's hard sometimes. So I decided to start the Easter special right now, simply just for fun. It's because we have a lot of Easter stuff already in our house, so it's kind of makes sense. You guys want to see my Easter stuff? No? Well, let's move on. So I decided to look at an Easter movie to review. Now, there are some Easter movies out there that look like something people would want me to talk about. Stuff like maybe like Easter Parade, maybe something like one of the modern Easter movies called Hop. I'm not gonna review Hop, okay? Hop is just disturbing. And I decided to review what I consider to be my favorite movie based off of what what younger children find most best in Easter, the chocolate. What chocolate movie do I want to review? This might sound awkward and actually kind of stupid, but I decided to review Willy, Wonka, and the Chocolate Factory. Now again, that's stupid, but again, at least I'm doing something here. And this movie is really beautiful because when I first saw it was at the Easter time, and that makes sense for my point of standards. So if I want to review this movie, we have to look at what we do in all our reviews. So what do we do for this review? We look at the movie and see how one holds up because in my opinion is one of my favorite movies I remember watching as a child. Back when I was younger, I loved this movie. I loved it so much. So let's see how much it gone through over time. And we're also going to look at how much the Johnny Depp version was doing, so be aware of that. So let's start off with the original and the characters of the movie. Which characters do I like and how good do they hold up? Well, half the cast members sadly passed away. Let's first look at what Willy Wonka looks like. The first Willy Wonka we'll point out is the Gene Wilder version. The Gene Wilder version is just downright magnificent, okay? It was made in the 70s when Gene Wilder movies were doing a really good job at the time. So stuff like Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, they all have a good touch. So Willy Wonka was the first exception. His performance as Wonka is really wonderful. While he has a diabolical edge, I realize by now that kind of scared me. Besides of that, he does a really good job being what he is. Kind, scary, and somewhat special. The music he sings in the movie is beautiful artwork, and the clothes he wears make him look just like what we wanted to see. Because let's be honest, for all of us who read the Willy Wonka book, we all know, we're picturing what he would look like if we actually saw him. So Gene Wilder came out with the clothes, and people were just really happy to see what he looked like, and so was I. But what about Johnny Depp's look? Johnny Depp just looks downright not as good as I thought. Sure, he doesn't suck, but I feel like it just wasn't enough effort put into it. Sure, he has a easier connection to the book, but regardless of anything, it's a little off to what we wanted to see. Because Johnny Depp's portrayal of Willy Wonka is not as great as Gene Wilder's. You take someone who was in The Curse of the Black Pearl and put them into this movie. It's perfect. Now, this is actually one of the other Tim Burton movies that Johnny Depp starred in. Yeah, Johnny Depp starred in a bunch of other Tim Burton movies. Like he played Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. He played that weird Christmas villain in Edward Scissorhands. There is so much for him. And playing Willy Wonka is not much for exception. Sure he knows what he's doing, but that's not enough to put what we wanted to see. He seems to have a very awkward performance than Gene Wilder does. Gene Wilder's performance may be a little stupid over time, but that's just what makes him so special. That he knows that he's playing Willy Wonka. He knows what he's doing. But today, let's take a look at what he thinks. Which Wonka do you like better? In my opinion, I like the Johnny Depp version because I'm played by Johnny Depp. No, you're not. You're played by Adam Driver. Who the hell is that? I don't know. Some dude who likes voicing Kyle Ren. He has fun, you know. Actually, I'm not voiced by him. Who's that? I look like one of that villain guy from, I don't know, the villain from Harry Potter. What's his name again? He sounds familiar. We're not talking about Harry Potter right now. We're talking about Willy Wonka. Screwy Wonka, that's not such a good movie. It's stupid. That's what I always say about you. It's stupid. But yeah, the Gene Wilder version is doing very well for its performance. Now let's look at the kids. Between the two Charlies, which Charlie do I like better? In my opinion, this might sound awkward, but I like the new Charlie better. The old Charlie's not that bad. He does a great job, but I feel like he also doesn't do as great as Gene Wilder does. He seems to have the act like a kid would, where he acts greedy, he acts sad, he has every emotion we know. But that's just what makes it a little off. A movie character would not need to have that many emotions in one film, because you have to connect to what we think of him. So the new version, he has he is the opposite of selfish. He is a kind kid who likes to think of everyone else, and he, of course, is the only kid in the factory who follows the rules. But that was actually explained because of how special he is. And remember that fizzy lifting drink scene from the original film? They removed that in this film. But that's actually a good thing, in my opinion, because in the original, when I heard that he actually wanted to steal him, I was like, dude, that kid does not deserve the prize. I'm going to let Mike win the prize. Mike should win the prize. But in the new version, nothing happened bad with him. He actually had a nice mind. He was young and cute. While his performance wasn't as great, I just loved what he did more than I liked what the new one did. I mean, the new one did a great job. The old one was just doing what any kid would in the real world. Now let's look at the other kids. Let's look at Augustus Gloop. The old version's better. The new version's weird. In the new version, he has more of a chocolate mind. In the old version, he would just eat anything. He has a big lives in Germany, where he doesn't eat as much. He just looks handsome and smart. He's the kid we know. The new version looks downright weird. He wears weird clothes. As he mentioned, he eats candy bar pretty much every day, which just isn't good for him. And he acts kind of a dick when he talks about candy, you know, because it's Augustus Gloop, okay? That's why the old version's better. The new version, he just goes crazy on candy. In the old version, he does what any hungry German kid does. Eats when he wants. The new version, he eats every time. Now let's look at Veruca Salt. In my opinion, the new Veruca Salt's better. The old Veruca Salt actually had probably the best performance in the movie. But the thing is, that was actually a little bit frustrating to handle. Veruca Salt's performance in the original film was to be a bratty person who wants everything she always wanted. That makes sense. That's what it was in the book. In the new version, she's just the basic child from England who has any impersonation. While she is still bratty and wants stuff, when she's around people, she doesn't act like that. And then the original version, she can act bratty whenever she's at, which kind of grind my gears. That's why I like the new version better. Plus, the new version she looks pretty cute. In the old version, she looked cute, but when I heard her loud voice, I just changed my mind when I said I wanted to have her for a child. Just not so well. Let's take a look at the other person we have. Her name is Violet. Now, in my opinion, the old Violet's better. The new Violet has actually another impression. She doesn't. In the original version, she was the gum chewer who likes to chew gum all the time and keeps it and always chews it whenever she goes, which is actually pretty impressive because when she chews gum, that's what she is. She doesn't chew gum all the time, though, which is actually nice because there are times when she wants to talk, she doesn't have to chew the gum so far, but when she feels like chewing gum, she does. In the new version, she just chews gum wherever she's at, okay? She's always chewing gum every time. The only time she doesn't chew gum is when she has something else she wants to eat, which is kind of stupid, you know? And now I know it's like the original version, but in the original version, she just doesn't have to do it every time. She does it when she does it the times when she does. She just do it when she's something else. So that's why the original's better, because she eats properly and does things properly. The only improper thing she does is chew gum and turn into a blueberry. The new version, she chews gum every single time and wins trophies for every single thing, which is pretty stupid. And the final cast member is Mike TV, who is known for pretty much television, honestly, because that's his last name, TV. Now, in the original version, he's better. In the original version, Mike TV's addictness makes sense. That's what kids like, TV. And Mike has it pretty nicely, because Mike TV always watches TV, wears clothes, and he's adorable. Okay, Mike is pretty adorable. He is just adorable. The new version is just bad. It's just bad. He's so bad in that version. In the new version, he is way older and has a more session when he plays video games. As a matter of fact, his video game makes him smart. Wow, that's how you want to raise your child, have him play video games. His parents don't give a shit he plays video games. So if anyone, that's just what he does. Camera cuts, okay, I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah, the old version's better because he's cute, he has a good impersonation. The new version, he's just rude and intelligent for video games. The parents, I don't know, all the parents in the movie, I don't want to talk about them. But yeah, the casting choices are great in the original film. In the new film, some of them are a little off, no matter how good they perform or how bad they perform. So now let's look at our next model for the idea. What the comedy is like. Comedy. Does someone say about the comedy? I don't know. There's not much comedy through over. The comedy goes by Johnny Depp in the new version, and the original comedy goes by whatever they think of. Let's look at let's look at some of the effects put into the film, like the styles. Which one looks better? There's something we can look at. So the effects in the original film, I don't know, they look alright. In the original film, the effects go by when you get to the factory. Once you get to the factory, you can see everything perfectly. The first effect we think of is once they get to the chocolate room. In that room, we see a bunch of good stuff. We see a bunch of giant candy, a bunch of good sets. We even see the chocolate river. In my opinion, when I first look at it, the chocolate river will actually look more like polluted mud floating around. That was kind of a little off, because it was supposed to make kids love to drink that river, but it made me just wish to never drink it in my life, because the river looked more like red type of mud back at the time, and that just wasn't good enough. The new version has chocolate that looks exactly like chocolate, but that's just because effects nowadays are pretty easy to use. Seriously though, couldn't they at least spice it up a bit for the special edition? Like, it could have worked, I guess, I don't know. Regardless of anything, I'm glad they're trying. Now let's look at another type of visual effect. Because in the original film, everything was perfectly shown so you can see what you're seeing. In the new version, everywhere is very weird, and it's dark, so it's hard to see stuff. But that's what the thing is. That's what candy is about. So if anything goes by, and I have my deck combined. When anything goes by, that's what you want to see, okay? Because you want to see things. You don't want to just have to get through dark colors. That's what I like about the original film. There's not that many dark colors. What other things do I have to point out? Oh, how about the other effects? There are a lot of camera cuts in Willy Wonka to make it look like a real magical factory. Half the camera cuts work because they look right, but another half look kind of silly, honestly. The Violet Beauregard inflation in the original film was actually looked more like she was inflating. In the new film, they used CGI to make her turn to a blueberry, which looked more like a blueberry. Because in the original, she just flew up. They just filled her up with air to make it look like she's a blueberry. It kind of just looked like she was in one of those inflatable suits you wear for Halloween. Well, Veruca Salt. All Veruca Salt does is fall into something, but they used other type of stuff for it. So when she fell in the original film, all they did was make it look. All they did was cut off her body and just make it and cut it to paste to drop. In the new film, they had to give CGI to the design. So when she was literally just falling in as a mattress, so they had to green screen her off to look like she was actually falling. Makes sense, I guess. I don't know. Effects in the new film work easy because you can because even if they're dark, it's at least something to think about. The dark camera sucks, but the effects for each thing is great. In the original, the light cameras are neat, makes everything perfectly clear to see, but the effects didn't age well. So the original version has better effects than the new version. The new version's effects are great, but I feel like the original was trying harder than what the new version did. Now, what story makes more sense? There's something. Let's look at the story and see how I think of the story. Okay, let's look at that. Let's look at the original story. The original story from the original Willy Wonka film is actually kind of a little interesting. As a matter of fact, you know what's funny? In the original film that's called Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, that film was actually following a story of Charlie more than Willy Wonka. While in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that movie follows the story of Willy Wonka a bit more than it follows the story of Charlie, which is kind of awkward. But let's look at the story anyway. Both are similar. The 5 kids win a golden ticket from candy bars to go see a factory. And at the factory, we see them each go through crazy stuff. Augustus falls into the chocolate and gets stuck into a pipe, which they said if they get her out the pipe will be okay. But in the original, he also said it goes to the fudge room, so that could lead to him dying. So we don't know which one's which, because in the new film, he didn't say that. He just, yeah, really, but he said was you gotta get him out of the pipe so they can get him out all chocolatey, which is what happens. And then there's Violet's. She eats some gum that isn't ready yet, inflates like a blueberry, turns into a blueberry. In the original, they said they had to get her out, all that air out, but it was really like she could have exploded, so that could have been her blue death. They could have given her blue blood because she's a blueberry, get it? Well, more like purple blood, because blueberries have purple juice inside of them. And the new film, they said that, but then it actually turned out working, so she came out as they expected, except she's still blue and a lot more skinnier. Oh, I guess, I don't know. For Veruca Salt, in the original, she fell into a furnace and could burn up, which is probably what happened. They never showed what happened to her, which could have been very scary. While in the new film, they said that, but if he went down to get her out, that would work. So they both came out perfect with just some dirt, all dirty and a bunch of trash on them. Now let's look at Mike. Mike's was the most confusing thing to think about. In the original, he went inside television and became really tiny, so they had to take him. So it basically worked, because in the original, they had to take him home to put him in his purse so they can get him out so he can try to make him flat again. We didn't know if that worked or not. In the new film, that worked perfectly because we saw him come out all skinny and weird. He deserves that in the new film. In the new film, he was a dick all the time. Just video game shit, smart shit. Always talk smart shit to everybody. He deserved that. In the original, I feel like that punishment was a little too far. Sure, he watches too much television, but I don't think that's enough to deserve something like that. Maybe the punishment he could deserve is the punishment of not having any TV. Well, maybe that'd be a good punishment, not seeing any TV in your life. I know it has nothing to do with the factory, but still, that's not a good punishment, okay? And at the end, let's look at the endings. In the original film, the ending was that they didn't win the prize because he knew that they stole fizzy lifting drinks, but then Charlie passed the test with a gobstopper that Slugworth told him about. So then he wins, and they go in an elevator, and he gets to keep the factory. While in the new film, the ending was that Charlie won without any concerns, with no gobstopper or Slugworth involved, and they were in an elevator. So when he tells him he gets to keep the factory and says he can be there alone, Charlie refused because he cares about his family. But then he finds a way to get Willy Wonka for his family. So then at that point, then Willy Wonka reunites with his dad, aka Lord Sauron. His dad is Lord Sauron. His dad is Count Dooku. Okay. So then they all live happily ever after. But that's the problem there, the Charlie version has a longer ending, which makes people have to sit through the remake longer. While in the original, it follows perfectly to the book, like perfectly. So it kind of feels a little wrong to make a ending go by longer by that stupid reason. When the movie's called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and they're gonna follow Willy Wonka's story, it's stupid, okay? But regardless of anything, both movies are pretty good. I just think the original film is better at being what it is. The original is a great movie. Great writing, great idea, great nostalgia. But both movies can still work, no matter which one's better or not. So there you go. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a nostalgia feeling that I love so much. And it almost feels like a Disney movie, let's be honest. So with that being said, I love each movie at this time. And the chocolate always works for Easter. Happy Easter. Well, no, happy early Easter, I am sorry. And thanks for watching. Okay? I got some eggs hatching, so I probably should, grow 'em. Oh, here's an egg. Let's see this one. Let's see what I got in this egg. What? Are you kidding? There's a